We might hit him an hour two. But for now, it's just you and me there, Tim. So let's get straight into it. Last time we spoke, Brian Staveley took up some part of the call, and not just him, but the Mandela effect in general. Can you recap, for someone who might be listening to this for the first time, this Mandela effect, why did you start paying attention to it? What's your history with Staveley? Give us an introduction to how it all started, and then we'll start catching up from there.
Excellent. Okay, well, my relationship with Brian Staveley started with my efforts to start reaching out to other people who were auto-hoaxing, who were deconstructing the media. And so for me, when I met the guy, I pretty much saw his work on 9/11, and I said, okay, this is great. Because for me, what we're actually doing is we're exposing the discrepancies between reality and the media misrepresentation. So I thought we were on the same sheet. I knew he was interested in the Mandela effect, which I always treated as a joke. I lost my keys. It got Mandela to another universe. And that was pretty much my start with him. But then after our conversation, I looked into the Mandela effect to figure it out. And when I looked into it, I thought, well, there's got to be more to it. There has to be other explanations. And this is where I think he and I kind of split, because instead of embracing this information that might have him reassess how he arrived at these conclusions, he doubled down on his, what I believe to be what I know to be a mystification of misremembrances. And he's not even open to considering the causes of these misremembrances. So as this, it wasn't even a debate so much as a back and forth. He would respond to my criticisms of his statements. One of his statements was, everybody knows Ed McMahon handed out big checks. Everybody knows Timmy fell down the well. And my first response is, well, you can just disregard such a logical fallacy. But then two, if you scratch the surface, these things have nothing behind them. Everybody knows Timmy fell down the well, they say, but they don't know how he was taken out. So if you scratch, you find that these memories that they're citing aren't real memories. And I believe it's more or less the interaction of the interrogator and the person, the affectee, that creates the effect. Well, that information has not only not been well received, but it has started something of a war where there's now kind of a line in the sand here, where the people who want to believe the Mandela effect is a legitimate reflection of changes in the universe, they're kind of forming a circle. And anyone who doesn't believe is seen as working for the false version of reality. Now, that's all well and good. I don't care about somebody's personal solipsism or their own view of the world. However, I just think it's a massive contradiction to, on the one hand, talk about 9/11 being a hoax, and on the second hand, saying reality itself is a hoax. Because if reality is not real, the news can't be fake. You have to have a standard of reality to measure it against. So that's kind of where we're at. We advance it forward. I published a short book called Mandoozled, explaining what I believe the phenomenon is, and I think that's the final word on it. And in the last week, he has been aggressively pitching it, and I watched him go first to Crow 777, Nathan Thompson, and Russian Vids, trying to pitch them on the Mandela effect, and he got rebuffed at each one. Nathan Thompson said the Bible can't change. Crow 777 said it's some type of a trick, and Russian Vids called it a psyop. So this Mandela effect that they're trying to inject into the flat earth mainstream is actually not gaining a lot of traction. So that's where we are now a month forward.
So it seems to me as though Staveley successfully seeded the Mandela effect meme into flat earth. And he says openly, you can find him saying in his own live streams, that this was his intention. His intention was to get all of the leading flat earth people talking about Mandela effect. Okay, and he's proud of it. He's proud of what he's accomplished in this regard. So from what you've just said, it sounds as though he's tried to do the same thing with Crow, Russian Vids, and Nathan Thompson, but they're not having any of it, is what you're saying.
Right, and except the difference is, when we had nothing of it, he chastised us, called us NPCs, zombies, and shills. In his video calling a spade, he called me a shill trying to shut down the Mandela effect. But when Crow 777, someone he respects, Russian Vids, someone he respects, said it didn't exist, he got very quiet and didn't press the issue, which I found to be very interesting.
I guess he was being diplomatic then, because I haven't actually listened to those calls, to tell you the truth. I haven't listened to the Crow 777 one, which, by the way, Crow 777 is a big name in this scene. Like, he has thousands and thousands of views for each thing that he puts out. What was the response like from his audience?
I think Crow 777's audience, they actually see the Mandela effect as possibly related to the lunar wave, from what I've seen in many of the comments. An interesting correlation, like it's part of the same phenomenon. Now, and Crow, his view on it was simply the simplest explanation is most likely, so it's probably going to be a trick. But after the video, Stavely did double down and say everyone is affected. They're just in denial or they're afraid. So despite it not going over with them, he's just like, well, they'll be saved later. So he does have a lot of, I think, confidence that this thing is eventually going to take over.
Well, you've got to give him credit for putting the effort into what he believes in. I mean, I know that many of your fans have no good things to say about Stavely, but I do kind of admire how he's made it his plan to spread Mandela effect. He wants to be the guy who seeds this meme into the rest of the conspiracy subculture, and he's not going to stop until he succeeds, from what I can tell. I kind of admire that tenacity. Do you know what I mean?
I do too, and that's why when we originally spoke, we spoke about 9/11 for 45 minutes and then 15 minutes on the Mandela effect. And I didn't think too much of it until it became this way of judging people who weren't going along with it. That's when I really kind of gave it a second look. But even now, I understand where he's going with it, but what I don't think you can do is I don't think you can mix deconstructing the news media and calling it hoaxy, and at the same time saying that reality itself is subjective. I think that's kind of a massive contradiction, philosophically, and I don't know how you can rectify it.
And that's exactly what we spoke about in our first call a month ago. So I'll put a link to that